Good morning, students. How are you all? Fine. I hope you're all doing fine, students. Now, first, let me introduce myself to you. I'm M. Kotishwari from Arihant College of Education, and today I'm going to take science for you all. Okay. Before going to the topic, let me show you one picture. You need to identify what is there in the picture. Let's go. What do you see in this picture, students? What is this? Yes, it's a dry pond. Yes. So what happens to the plants if there is no water? The plants will become dry and they will die. What happened to the animals if there is no plants for them to have? Yes, and the animals also will starve and die. And students, what happens to the soil here? The soil is very dry because there is no water content. What is a name that is given when the soil is dry and where new crops cannot be grown here? So what is a name if the soil is dry? It is called drought. Yes. Drought is a natural calamity or a disaster that causes destruction to the human beings and their property. So today we're going to cover some important topic: disaster, types of disaster. In that we are going to see man-made disaster and natural disaster. Next is a disaster management. These are the topics today we are going to cover it. Now first let us see the definition of disaster. A sudden event that causes large scale damage to life. It is not a small scale, a huge amount of damage to life, property and social aspects of a nation or a society is called disaster. So what are the key words here? Large scale, damage, and damage to what all the things? Life, property and social aspects. So this is called as disaster. Now what is the need to know or study about disaster? Why it is there for you? Why your students are studying this? Because you should be aware of the disaster and to take necessary precautions for it. When at the time of disaster, what necessary precautions you can take and help the needy. So that is a need of studying these disasters. Now we are going to see an outline of various disasters. First one, can you imagine and have you ever heard of these words disaster and natural calamity in social medias, in newspapers and even in television, students? Have you heard of these things? Yes, earthquake. And can you tell me some more disasters? Landslide, yes. Flood, drought and even volcano eruptions. First let us see the earthquake at Killary village in Latur district of Maharashtra. See, we are staying in Maharashtra in Pune district. So first of all we should know in and around of Pune and Maharashtra, yes, we should know our environment, in what culture, in what social aspects we are staying. So first let us see the earthquake that takes place in our place. This is the earthquake, the aftermath, that is the after effect of the earthquake. So what you can see in this picture? A lot of destruction or the disaster, damage to the property. Yes. These are also the same thing. See, huge loss of damage of life and property in this earthquake. Landslide at Palin district in Maharashtra. So what is a landslide? The land that is at the proper height, it slides down. When there is huge amount of rain, then it causes landslide. See the pictures of this landslide. This is the after effect of landslide. So after effect, you have to clear the roads, electric line that is cut due to this, plants are also washed away, huge trees are fallen due to landslide. They are very dangerous. They can even take the whole building to fall down, even any vehicle. See, your bus, car, that also can take away. Even the very big trees that are grown for more than 100 years are taken away by these landslides. Flood in Tamil Nadu at 2015. So you can see the picture here, how the people are facing disturbances during the flood. Their normal life is disturbed, and how much disturbances in electric supply, food, the basic necessities are disturbed during flood in these situations. See how the vehicle is submerged in water. So can you imagine the situation and the quantity of water that is filled? They used to go in boats and small boats. So the main organizations or persons who help at the time of need, NDRF, they come and they supply food, shelter and many support, moral support to the persons or the life they have suffered. Next we are going to see the reasons for disaster. What can be the reasons for this disaster? Floods due to heavy rains, yes. An earthquake, lightning or a volcanic eruptions, this can be the reason for disaster. Forest fires, yes. Increased risk due to the high density of population in a limited area. So how does this happen, students? Those persons who are living in rural areas, they are shifting towards the urban areas for civilization, for the globalization. So in a limited area, the population is increased. Many people are stubborn at one place. So that also is a risk for a disaster. Irregular constructions at the dam side, where there is no authority to construct houses or buildings, but due to unwanted unauthorized constructions, this can be a reason for disaster. The next reason for disaster is ecological imbalance, means there is a climatical variation, disturbance. What can be the reason for the climatic variation? Yes, deforestation, very good, cutting of plants. Since the persons are coming from rural to urban for their civilization, even if you are taken early some years back in Pune, it was all tall trees stood before, but nowadays only tall buildings are there in Pune also. So this causes a drastic change in the ecology. There is an imbalance in the ecology. So this leads to the climatic change, and even the glaciers are also melting because of this climatic change. Terrorism, riots and crimes resulting in bomb explosions, assaults, fire and accidents. These are all the man-made disasters which intentionally done by somebody, and that also is a reason for disaster. Next we are going to see the types of disaster. There are two types of disaster. What is this? Yes, it's a globe. And what is this? A man. So what can be the type of disasters? Natural disaster, man-made disaster. Very good, students. So first let us see the classification of disaster. Natural disasters, adverse event that results from the natural process of the earth, like earthquake, volcano, flood, drought and even cyclone. These are all the natural disasters which are not controlled by us, that happens naturally, that causes destruction naturally. Next we are going to see the another classification of disaster, the man-made disaster. Why does this man-made disaster happen? Due to the technological growth. So this can be two types, accidental and intentional. Accidental means that happens unknowingly, unwantedly. So it can be the reason of industrial accidents where the oil spills are there, accidents, fire accidents that takes place in a crackers factory, or a chemical spill in a factory where they work with chemicals. An intentional natural man-made disaster is war, crime and terrorist activity. So as our soldiers, they are fighting in the borders with the neighboring countries, they put bomb explosives. So this causes a change in our environment. Ecology is disturbed. The pollution arises. So this is what? This is a man-made disaster. So which type of disaster can be avoided? Can you think and tell me? Yes, man-made disasters can be avoided. Next we are going to see about earthquake. Sudden vibration or quaking in the earth's crust is known as earthquake. The movements in the interior of the earth releases tremendous amount of energy. This causes seismic waves leading to the movements of the earth's surface like tremors, shaking and cracking up. So there is a sudden vibration or quaking. Where does it happen? In the earth's crust. So that is called as earthquake. So in the interior of the earth, there are some continuous movements that produces a amount of energy. When the amount of energy is tremendous, which cannot be controllable, then earthquake occurs. It is not that every time earthquake can appear. Only when the energy is uncontrollable or tremendous, that time only earthquake occurs. So what does this earthquake produce? They produce seismic waves. These are all due to the movements that we can feel, as these seismic waves are produced by the energy from the inner core of the earth. We can feel the tremors, shaking and even cracking up. Now we can see this after effect of earthquake. See how the roads are cracked, and even you can see in the second picture where there are different layers, and these layers are called as plates. These plates are called as tectonic plates that are present inside the earth. As we all think earth is made up of single piece, but it is not like that. It is made up of fragmented pieces, as it is evident from this picture that the earth's inner surface is made up of plates. Now first, before we will understand earthquake, we will understand the structure of earth. Now we will understand the structure of earth. Okay. There are four main parts in the structure of earth. First one is a crust, second one mantle, third one is the outer core and the fourth one is the inner core. First let us see the outer surface, that is the crust. The crust is outer surface and it is not a single piece. It is made up of different small pieces, and that pieces, fragmented pieces, are present like plates. See, these are all the plates that is present in the mantle, and it extends up to the outer core. What extends? The plate. And what is the name of the plate? Tectonic plates. When these plates are in motion, these plates are in continuous motion every day. But when they are in brushing motion, there is no earthquake. When there is an colliding motion, one plate if collides with the other plate, then earthquake occurs. So one plate when collides with other plate, earthquake occurs. So now we will see the demonstration of earthquake. Now the things required to demonstrate earthquake: two strips of clay and some cardboards. These are the cardboards. Okay. So the plates, this represents the plates that is present in the mantle, and they are in continuous motion. So first let us demonstrate with the two plates. I am going to place the clay here. What is this? The outer surface of the earth, and this is the crust. Next I am going to place the plates. Where are the plates present? They are present in the mantle. Okay, so they are present in the mantle. This is a crust and this is a mantle. When these plates are moving like this, when they are moving like this movement is called as brushing movement. There is no earthquake. It is smoothly moving and some amount of energy is released. When these plates are separated apart from each other, then a new crust will be formed here, and then also there is no earthquake. But if the inner core that is present in the inside of the earth, this inner core only produces tremendous amount of energy when the energy is more uncontrollable, and the outer core and inner core. So what happens? It should collide. Then only earthquake will occur. Understand? See, the two plates are collided with each other. And what is this? This is a core, mantle and the crust. This is how the earthquake occurs. Understood, students? Next we are going to see the effects of earthquake. Destruction of infrastructure. So students, tell me, what is infrastructure? Construction of roads, dams, buildings. These are all called as the infrastructure that gives facility for us. And those laborers who are working in construction, mining, you should respect them equally. All are equal. You should respect all the laborers equally. Huge loss of life and property. The next disaster what we are going to see is the floods. Due to excessive rain, this is a key word here. It is due to the excessive rain, not an average rain. In the same place, a river overflows its bank, causing a flood. Effects of flood. Huge loss of life. Soil erosion. What is soil erosion, students? The most fertile part of the soil is the topmost part of the soil. That is washed away when there is a huge rain. That fertile soil is washed away, and that is called as soil erosion. Next is the destruction of standing crops. The crops is destroyed when there is a huge amount of rain. Even if there is no rain, crops are spoiled. Even if there are more rain, then heavy rain, then crops are soiled. And who is affected by this? The farmers are affected by this. So the destruction of standing crops is an after effect of floods. After effect of floods, like spread of diseases. Diseases are spread. Why the diseases are spread? Because the water is stagnant for a quite period of time, and that is called as epidemic. Epidemic means a type of disease spread in a community for a quite duration of a time that affects the health of the people. Next we are going to see the another disaster is the storms. How the storms are formed? The formation of high and low air pressure belts in the atmosphere causes changes in the weather, resulting in strong winds or storms. So due to the pressure belt is formed along the equator of the earth. Okay, you will study in this pressure belt in later classes. Just understand that is due to the pressure belt in the atmosphere. That is why we are having storms and rains. So even today, nowadays in Pune, we are having monsoon season. So the seasons are mainly due to the winds. southwest and northeast monsoon winds. And these winds are essential for the storms and rain. When the wind is very strong, it is uncontrollable, it causes destruction. And these storms are very prone to the areas where they are near to sea. So it can affect Mumbai where it is near to the Arabian Sea. Kerala, it affects the Indian Ocean. So when there is a lot of storm created by the sea waves, it affects the area surrounding it. Effects of storm. So when there is a storm in that place, the total area is damaged. The great damage in the storm affected region. Tremendous loss of life and property. So their life is lost, their property is lost, and the disruption of electric supply. Even the disruption of transport and communication, where the roads got spoiled and even the communication, there is no electrical supply. You can't speak to your friends, neighbors, communication is also dropped. Now next we are going to see what is this? This is a storm. You can see from here how the wind is blowing here, and nearby it there is a sea. Next disaster what we are going to see is a forest fire. A forest fire is an uncontrolled fire in a forest or a pasture or a grassland due to natural or man-made causes. Even man-made causes also cause forest fires. Forest fires spread at a tremendous speed. So what are the effects of forest fire? Great damage to the natural wealth and the biodiversity of the forest. Yes, the animals and the plants that they are damaged due to this forest fire. What type of pollution it will cause due to forest fire? Air pollution. Very good. As students, during these type of disasters, what we have seen, earthquake, floods, storms, forest fires, who come and help the people who are in needy? Red Cross Society, World Health Organization and UNICEF. These are the organizations, they come and help the persons who are at need. This is the image of forest fire. See, these are the disasters now you have seen. So how you will control the disaster? What is the way to control the disaster? The steps and the precautions. When you anticipate a disaster, you have to be mentally prepared to solve and to take necessary precautions to solve the disaster. And that is called as disaster management. Taking steps to prevent disaster, making plans to face a disaster. Don't be panic. Even natural or man-made disasters, don't be panic. Face the situation. You can face it. And developing the capacity for that. You should develop the capacity to handle any type of disaster. And that is called disaster management. So this is where the people or the organization, they are prepared. They are giving response. They are providing recovery of the land, property and the persons who are at need, and the prevention. So today students, I hope you all have understood about disaster, types of disaster and disaster management. Okay. So now I am going to see how much you all have understood. What is disaster? A sudden event that causes large-scale damage to life, property or a society is called disaster. You can say in your own words. What waves are produced during earthquake? Seismic waves. Very good. What are the effects of flood? When there is a flood at any area, what can be the effect of the flood? Yes, standing crops are destroyed, soil erosion. Very good. Identify this image. What is this? Forest fire. Yes, very good. So I have given the Google form for you students. I have given the link in the description box. Go and fill the Google form and submit. Next is a homework for you. Important contact details. Police 100, Fire Brigade 101, Ambulance 102, Disaster Management Cell 108. So what you have to do? You have to make all these contact details in your diary. And in time of disaster, rush for the diary and call to this number and help the needy and save a life. That is more important. So write all these contact details in your diary. Don't forget to do your homework. Thank you children. Thank you for patiently listening to my class. We will see you in next class. Thank you once again.